The United States and Israel are heading toward a war with Iran. And no, this isn't just my opinion. Many top geopolitical experts around the world are starting to think the same thing. According to various claims, the conflict between the U.S., Israel, and Iran has already been going on for several days. Some reports even suggest that Iran's supreme leader, along with dozens of top officials, has been eliminated. But even after all of this, analysts still believe the U.S. may be preparing to fully enter the war. So the big question is, why? Let's go back to 2001. After the attack on the World Trade Center, the United States, along with NATO allies, invaded Afghanistan. That war lasted 20 years and cost nearly $2 trillion. Thousands of American soldiers lost their lives. And yet, despite being the most powerful country in the world, the U.S. ultimately had to withdraw. Now, here's the interesting part. The same factors that led to failure in Afghanistan seem to be repeating themselves in a potential Iran conflict, and this time they might be even more intense. One by one, the strategies of Trump and Netanyahu appear to be falling apart. I'm Mithin, and you're watching the Romanchpedia YouTube channel. Today's video isn't about giving you war updates. We're not a news channel. Instead, we're going to break down whether the U.S. and Israel may have made a serious strategic miscalculation and why attacking Iran could turn into another historic mistake. And just to be clear, this isn't propaganda. I'll walk you through everything step by step using logic and reasoning. Also, nothing I say is guaranteed to happen. This is just an analysis to help you understand where things could be heading. In any war, having a long-term strategy is critical. Without it, no war can be sustained. And right now, many experts believe the U.S. and Israel don't have a clear long-term plan when it comes to Iran. If you look at Afghanistan, the original goal was to eliminate al-Qaeda, but over time that shifted into trying to build a democratic system and rebuild the country. These were completely different objectives, which shows there wasn't a clear long-term strategy from the beginning. The same thing happened in Iraq. After Saddam Hussein was removed, there was no solid plan for what came next, and that eventually led to the rise of ISIS. Now let's look at Iran. The initial idea seems to have been that removing top leadership like the supreme leader and key officials would trigger massive anti-regime protests. The expectation was that people would rise up and form a new government. But that hasn't happened. One major reason is Iran's internal political structure. It's extremely resilient. Over the years, Iran has dealt with assassinations of military leaders and nuclear scientists, so even losing top officials doesn't necessarily collapse the system. In fact, Iran's leadership has long prepared for that scenario. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, is designed to maintain control and quickly replace leadership if needed. Right now, the IRGC is heavily monitoring cities like Tehran to prevent any anti-government protests. There's also fear among the population due to previous crackdowns. On top of that, many anti-regime groups don't fully trust the U.S. anymore. In past protests, the U.S. promised support but didn't follow through. Meanwhile, ongoing missile strikes are putting the population in shock, and ironically, the more attacks there are, the more people may rely on the IRGC for protection. Initially, the U.S. and Israel were likely aiming for a short-term operation, but Iran isn't backing down. Instead, it's escalating, launching missiles across the region and even threatening major global trade routes like the Strait of Hormuz. At this point, Iran is acting like a wounded animal, more aggressive, more dangerous. There are also reports suggesting that intelligence agencies like the CIA and Mossad may be supporting internal groups like Kurdish or Baloch factions to destabilize Iran. All of this points to one thing: a lack of clear long-term strategy. History shows us that without a clear goal, soldiers lose morale. We saw that in Vietnam. We saw it again in Afghanistan. But from Iran's perspective, this is a fight for survival. If a foreign country attacks your land, kills your leaders, and tries to break your country apart, the motivation to fight becomes incredibly strong. Even if there's a regime change, it doesn't guarantee stability. Guerrilla warfare could continue for years. Now let's talk about why Iran might actually prefer a long war. Militarily, Iran is much weaker than the United States, but modern warfare is extremely expensive. Advanced weapons, missiles, drones, fighter jets cost billions. Reports suggest that in just the first 24 hours, the U.S. spent hundreds of millions of dollars, and the total cost has already reached billions. But here's the key difference. Iran's weapons are much cheaper. A U.S. Patriot interceptor costs $1 to $3 million. A Tomahawk missile costs around $1.3 to $2 million. An Iranian ballistic missile may cost under $1 million. A U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone costs about $30 million. Iranian drones may cost as little as $30,000 to $50,000. So basically, Iran can attack cheaply while the U.S. has to spend far more just to defend. This turns the war into not just a military battle, but an economic one. Another issue is supply. Advanced weapons aren't produced in infinite numbers. In a prolonged conflict, replacing them becomes difficult. Some estimates suggest Iran may have tens of thousands of missiles stored in underground facilities, along with thousands of drones, enough for a long-term conflict. Then there's the issue of casualties. Even a small number of American deaths can have a huge political impact back home. Public opinion can shift quickly, and pressure builds on leadership to end the war. Iran understands this. That's why it may target U.S. bases and personnel to increase political pressure. And finally, there's politics. Both Trump and Netanyahu are under internal pressure. A quick victory could boost their popularity, but a long, messy war could hurt them badly. On top of that, America's global reputation is also at stake. If its defense systems fail to protect allies, trust in American power could decline. Some European countries are already showing signs and distancing themselves. If that trend continues, it could reshape global alliances. So, based on all of this, one thing is clear: if this conflict turns into a long-term war, it could become a serious challenge for the United States and Israel. But what do you think? Will this turn into a prolonged war? Could it become another Afghanistan or Vietnam? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and share it. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.